Elon Musk has just delivered on his promise, and FSD Beta is no longer in beta. It is now called Full Self-Driving Supervised. I have mixed thoughts about this. On one side, I'm sort of happy because this will certainly reduce Tesla's liability. On the other hand, Elon, is that really what you meant when you said FSD is no longer going to be in beta when V12 comes out? I'm not so sure. Either way, this is a smart move for now. If Elon is playing a game, I think he's playing it pretty well. Tesla's FSD free trial is starting to roll out to Tesla owners in the US that didn't previously purchase FSD. Within the next few weeks, over 1.7 million Tesla owners in North America will get to try FSD Beta for free for the first time via this trial. There's another game that Tesla is playing. Crush another Cybertruck production record game. 470 Cybertrucks spotted at Giga Texas. Production ramp is definitely going fairly well so far. If you saw that exponential growth from Troy in regards to the Cybertruck production, this is not a surprise at all. Looking at this, we would expect the production to continue like this for a little while. ARK Invest, of course, sees all of the positive Tesla developments, and they believe in their bull case. Otherwise, why would they be buying so much more Tesla stock? They just bought some again. Omar makes a prediction: Wall Street will be surprised by the profitability and the volume of this product at scale as Tesla becomes more of a mass market manufacturer. They have shown they still have the ability to push out highly sought after and exclusive premium products. We got some news from Tesla's Lathrop mega factory. A record 446 megapacks worth about $700 million were spotted at the Lathrop Megafactory, a 31% increase versus the previous record. So that's a pretty big deal. If you remember, Tesla's energy generation storage business profits nearly quadrupled in 2023, and the gross margins exceeded the margins of the automotive business. And here's some more good news, this time from Giga Berlin. Tesla Giga Berlin expansion receives support from the leader of Germany. Germany's leader supports the expansion of Giga Berlin despite the protests and the attack on Tesla's factory he called an act of terrorism. I see this as a good thing. I mean, having support from the highest office in Germany, I think it is certainly good news for Tesla in Germany. Bloomberg decided to cover Tesla's $25,000 car. They say this means tossing out the 100-year-old assembly line. Nothing new about the next generation vehicle, but it is putting it in focus, which could possibly attract some attention from some investors and get some people excited about Tesla's future. And at first I looked at Tesla stock and I was like, I don't think it's working. But then I realized, oh, the markets are closed today. It's because of the Good Friday in the US. And the Friday is indeed good for Tesla. We got some good news with the Cybertruck, and now there's a better estimate from Troy. He just increased his estimate by 1,000 units, so that's good. However, he does estimate a year-over-year decline in deliveries compared to 423,000-ish in Q1 of last year. We are still waiting on the compiled consensus. Usually by now we should have it, but we don't have it yet. There was a heated exchange between Troy and AJ. I'm not going to go through this, but feel free to pause and read if you like. Tesla is likely working on releasing another new FSD version because there are Tesla FSD test drivers in Chuck's neighborhood again. Seems like people are having positive experiences with Autopark. Brandon tried Autopark more than 10 times and he hasn't had any issues at all so far. I'd like to see an update after 1,000 attempts. When I get it, I'll probably give it a try. I'll try 100 times in a row and see if I have any issues at all. And you guessed it, I don't have V12 yet. Here's another person with no issues doing a drive with no disengagement. He says it's smooth. He started from a parking lot and the drive ended with the car parking on the street. Someone drove on FSD V12 all around town and had one interaction in 45 minutes. He also said that Autopark worked flawlessly in multiple tests for him. Here's another drive at V11 without completely failed.
Just watch and see. It does so many maneuvers in such little time. Makes effortless decisions, but in such a human-like fashion. Or better than human. I've never been through here. I could hardly see that there was a road out there. I could just see that there's cars coming, but I didn't even know if I was actually going into a road that was either one way or non-existent. And FSD completely handled all of the uncertain situations with ease, precision, confidence, patience, and perfection that I don't think I could have even done so myself. Look at that. Look at the way it maneuvers. In an instant, with human-like precision.
So we are now experiencing and seeing FSD V12 in some situations actually excelling human driving. He said it himself. He didn't feel like he would have done a better job. The software did a better job than him. Most people still have no idea how crushingly good Tesla FSD will get, says Elon Musk. It will be superhuman to such a degree that it will seem strange in the future that humans drove cars even while exhausted and drunk. Cars will take you where you want automatically, just like getting in an elevator and pressing a button, something that also used to be manual in the past. I fully agree with Sawyer here. As incredible as FSD beta videos are to watch online, it's 10 times more mind-blowing when you are actually sitting in the driver's seat, and it's even more annoying when you see other people get to do these drives, but you still don't have FSD V12 in your vehicle. I'm not talking about anyone in particular here. Oh wow, New York City has opened permit applications for autonomous vehicle testing, and I'm with Farzad here. This is coming a bit faster than even I expected, and New York City is so difficult to drive. Why do they want to rush towards this? They don't want to be left behind, I think, is the answer to that question. Anyway, I like this sort of news story because when Tesla finally does solve full self-driving fully, it will be easier to scale quickly. Gary basically thinks that Tesla's FSD take rate will only surge when Tesla agrees to accept full liability for any injury or damage. I disagree with that. If Tesla is basically there with FSD and we have documented proof of people going without any interventions for weeks and months, and you see videos online of people going from New York City to LA with no interventions, and everyone is talking about how great FSD is, and even though you still need to supervise it, basically it's intervention free, which would then basically prove that FSD is actually coming, robotaxis are actually coming. Why wouldn't you then want to buy FSD for your vehicle? I think the take rate would go up by a lot, even without Tesla taking responsibility for injuries. So I have to disagree on this with Gary Black. Gary still thinks that any number above last year's 423,000 deliveries will likely be well received by the stock market. Now, I personally think, and this is just an estimate, I think the number is likely to be below 423,000. I'm not saying it definitely will. I'm just saying based on what I have seen, I think it's likely. So at this point for me, if the deliveries are above 410,000, I would take it as not bad news. The market may take it as bad news because it would be under 423,000, but I wouldn't take it as bad news because I'm already expecting a lower number. Well, this is an interesting observation. There are still so many people in the Tesla community that have never tried FSD Beta. The free FSD trial in North America will fix that a little. I personally know many all-in Tesla investors that haven't even tried. It's going to be interesting to see the reactions. If you are a Tesla stock investor and you rely on FSD when you model Tesla stock, I think you should try FSD at least once. There's something fishy going on here. New Farland and Labrador extends EV rebate program to 2025 but excludes Tesla. That's because they are no longer going to include sales that don't go through dealers. That's really weird. Is someone getting paid by someone? Their explanation is basically, yeah, we just do whatever we want. It's our decision. They gave no explanation. At best, this is just pure incompetence. We might have a new trim of the Model Y in Europe. Tesla Model Y, long range, rear wheel drive, not all wheel drive, received European certification, so maybe it will be built there. It would have 373 miles. This is not EPA range. In Europe, they have slightly different standards, but clearly you would have more range. And because of instant torque, I really wouldn't mind driving a rear-wheel drive EV, especially a Tesla, because Tesla software is the best, so therefore it will adjust any slippage instantly. As long as I have snow tires, I'm okay driving this vehicle in snow. At first, when I tried it, I was like, logically, I know, I read about it, it makes sense on paper when you look at all of the technicalities and how fast it adjusts the slippage, but I still wasn't sure, and then I tried to lose control of the vehicle in a parking lot, and I couldn't. And then I took a gasoline-powered all-wheel drive vehicle, and with snow tires, of course, both of these, and I was able to lose control very easily. And then later I tried doing the same test with my all-wheel drive Tesla, and that was next level good. So I'm definitely not saying that you shouldn't get all-wheel drive, even if it's an EV for snow. Get it if you can afford it. It's still quite a bit better. With a rear-wheel drive Tesla, I wasn't able to lose control, but I was able to get the car sort of turn a bit too much. But in the all-wheel drive Tesla, I couldn't even do that. So if safety is your top priority, definitely get the all-wheel drive if you can afford it. And you need to drive in snow. The New York Times is going after Elon Musk hard. Tesla and China built a symbiotic relationship with credits, workers, and parts that made Elon Musk ultra rich. Now, his reliance on the country may give Beijing leverage. Oh, and there's a community note under it already. Here's a rebuttal from Tesla's head of policy, Rohan Patel. As usual, the New York Times framing is thoroughly lacking context and common sense. The insinuation that our global expansion negatively affected Fremont and California is just warped logic. It is not a zero-sum game. We only sell cars made in the US in the US. They don't sell vehicles made in China in the US. How come aren't they going after Apple? All of their stuff is made overseas. Unlike with Tesla, then there are low interest loans in China. Now he says these are not particularly significant. In fact, much less in comparison to almost any available set of industrial manufacturing incentives in North America, Europe, and other markets in Asia. I know this because we have a constant stream of countries and states trying to incent Tesla to invest. So it's a bit like, let's say, China going after Tesla because, oh, you are benefiting from the $7,500 credits in the US. Everybody benefits from these. I do like these rebuttals from Tesla. Now, is New York Times completely wrong about everything here? Doesn't China have some leverage over Elon Musk? Well, you don't hear Elon criticizing China, but he does criticize the US government a lot for certain issues. I think Elon Musk is well aware that if he started criticizing the Chinese government, Tesla would no longer be able to sell in China. So I think that in particular is a fair point to make. But to imply that China alone made Elon Musk ultra rich, no, sorry, that's too far. It made Elon richer, sure, but China alone did not make Elon Musk rich. We might see a new Elon Musk interview with Tesla owners Silicon Valley. I liked their previous interview with Elon Musk. Elon replied to this question, Elon, would you be down to doing an interview on Tesla manufacturing? I might be getting to the point where I've overseen the construction of wider range of manufacturing systems than anyone. Managing a global supply chain is also very difficult and underrated. Tactics wins battles, but logistics, supply chain, wins wars. Would you be open to discussing with me? This is a long story. If it does happen, sounds like it would be a long interview then. Ooh, someone's really dunking on FSD. Unless you are sitting in the back seat like a Waymo, this is just a lot of smoke. This was in reply to the post from James. One of my followers just sent me a DM that FSD drove him and his family from his house in downtown urban Montreal. And many of you yesterday left comments that this city is incredibly difficult to drive in. So from downtown urban Montreal to his lake house, 90 minutes outside the city, zero interventions. He had never used FSD to take this route before. And here's a big question. Can Waymo do this right now? Can it? Can any other company do this? James saw the criticism and he replied to it. Farzad also clearly agrees with this. He reposted it. Here's the way we need to be thinking about this, in my opinion. And please remember, I have been, if not the most, then one of the most vocal FSD critics for years in the bull crowd. He was indeed very critical. Is 12.3 perfect? No, obviously not. But it is a 10x improvement over V11. That in and of itself is impressive. V11 was crap, you may say. Okay, but what is most impressive, in my opinion, is that this progress was made over the course of a few months on the new code. And if you remember when the first V12 videos leaked, was it good? Was it even better than V11? In some parts, yeah, but it still did a few silly things, if you remember. And that was January of this year. So a few months of work is 10 times better than the years of previous work. And it seems to work well in places outside of Omar's backyard for a change, including Canada, specifically Montreal, which I've seen many people call one of the most, if not the most difficult city in all of North America to drive in. I don't know if it is the most difficult city to drive in, but it's a bilingual city, which probably makes it a bit more confusing for FSD Beta. It's certainly very difficult to drive in the city. What will 12.4 bring and how quickly will it keep improving? That is what matters most. Critics need to open up their minds to this possibility, see what is happening, and be willing to change their minds. Now, actually, I hope they don't see what's coming. I hope they don't change their minds until it is glaringly obvious that massive progress has already been made, in a sense that, oh yeah, robotaxi is definitely coming fairly soon, and the take rates are already up of FSD. The reason why I say that is because I want to keep buying Tesla stock at cheaper prices. At this point, there seem to be just too many people having really good experiences with V12 for V12 to not be monumentally better than V11. But I still want to try it for myself until I come to my own final conclusion. Ooh, this stings for BYD as BYD shifts from a mostly domestic vehicle manufacturer towards exporting cars worldwide. Customers are seeing quality problems such as moldy cars. While mold can be a common occurrence in cars, especially when they are stored for a long duration in humid weather, the issue with BYD cars in Europe was that they didn't receive the proper treatment to have the mold removed. In Thailand, where Chinese EVs have taken the domestic automotive market by storm, BYD's quality issues seem to be mounting. Complaints of paint and plastic peeling have become public. Meanwhile, in Israel, BYD EVs are reported to have warped under the weight of roof racks. However, many of these seem to be logistics-related issues, so I think BYD eventually will solve most of these. For example, some 10,000 BYD cars are estimated to be parked in European warehouses where they have been waiting to be sold since the end of last year. Okay, now this is a kind of recall that you certainly do not want to see in any Tesla. Porsche Taycan recall for battery fire risks expands. It is the second recall for the same problem. A short circuit in the battery increases the risk of a fire. Owners are advised to only charge their vehicles to a maximum of 80% battery capacity until the repair has been completed. Just to be safe, I would say charge only to 70%. Or ideally, get yourself a Tesla and don't worry. You have to see this. I have a few rideshare rides on FSD Beta 12.3.1 again tonight. Not only could it do the entire drives on its own, it can already do it more smoothly and comfortably than I can. That's a big statement. It's already a more comfortable experience for the passenger. And this is the poopy, stinky version, with basic things like flashing red lights still not handled. Imagine when this architecture actually becomes mature. Buckle up, this year is going to be fun, warns Omar. Xiaomi is a big smartphone manufacturer in China, and now they want to make EVs. They are going to release this one under $30,000 with 434 miles. Keep in mind, this is not EPA. And from everything I've seen about it, they will be not making any profits. They will be losing quite a bit of money with this. For battery comparison, the Model 3 long range has almost 80 kilowatt hours in the battery, and the trim with supposedly 434 miles, has a smaller battery than the long-range Model 3. So James asked, what is it with these random Chinese companies that don't even sell cars historically, just tripping over themselves to sell EVs at a loss in this ridiculously competitive market? This is so dumb. Here's something to watch. Microsoft and OpenAI plot to build a $100 billion supercomputer, basically. It would also, of course, include a data center, but this is big. I think Ray pointed out something obvious, but when you hear it, it actually hits you in a different way, I think. We have seen celebrities show off their Cybertrucks, but we also cannot wait to see celebrities show off their Rivian R1Ts and F-150 Lightnings. For sure, it is going to happen, right? Colin Russia was just on TV, and he is the highest ranking Wall Street analyst that also analyzes Tesla. Let's see what he had to say.
Just your reaction to, obviously, this downward move that we've seen in Tesla. Not exactly a massive surprise given the trends that we had seen over the last several weeks. But how is Tesla set up now, not only in the current quarter, but looking ahead to the remainder of the year?
Yeah, so this first quarter is setting up to be pretty messy. I think everyone understands that there's seasonal weakness here in the first quarter. They've had some supply chain disruptions, in the European supply chain with the Red Sea. They also had this fire in Germany, that shut down the factory for a little bit, and the announcement that they're kind of trimming some of the production in China. And so I don't think anyone has any big expectations for production here. But what is at stake, I think, is where the margins shake out for the quarter and how that sets up for the balance of the year. And so as we're looking at this, we just trimmed numbers on the first quarter, just out of a bit of caution. But we're also seeing them recognize a certain amount of deferred revenue with the release of the version 12.3 on the FSD. We think they're going to recognize a reasonable amount of revenue there to support the margins. And so, net where we're at is we think there's a bit of a better than fear trade setting up here on the quarter, provided that the margins hold up as we get into the balance of the year. I mean, the bigger question really is, where are the normalized margins going forward?
Right. And so with that in mind, it all comes back to some of these pricing dynamics and how that correlates within the mechanisms that Tesla is actually able to demand or generate demand here at this point too. As you think about some of the other adjustments that they're going to need to make, are they going to need to make other production adjustments given the demand environment here too?
I mean, one of the things that this company has been really great at is making ongoing, cost optimization choices, and so they've continued to drive cost out of the vehicles on an ongoing basis over a number of years, and so we think they continue to do that. They've got some benefits from materials on the lithium side that are still yet to fully roll through. We think they're continuing to beat up their suppliers on components, and then they continue to be in the Western world still the largest the EV OEM. The question for me right now around where they're selling is how much they're going to sell into the Chinese market where there is this very aggressive price war, and how much they're going to start shipping a number of those vehicles into other countries in Asia and a number of the underserved countries that they really have not been selling into, but do have a sales footprint.
So nothing really bad. Clearly, he expects Tesla to not have good delivery numbers this quarter, but he also reiterated that Tesla is very good at cutting costs in the long term, which should help it win the price war in China eventually.
What's going to be the catalyst, though? Because it doesn't feel like the price cuts, the pressure there is easing at any time. At the same time, when we talk about this next wave of EV adoption, it is about more affordable vehicles, which Tesla doesn't necessarily have.
Yeah, it's a Game of Thrones price war right now in China. And I look, as that plays out, Street understands that, but they have not communicated that well. So in other words, where's the line in the sand in terms of margins? Walk through how they're going to reverse the strategy in China, because the opportunity is still there. In other words, we're still in the early innings of where this is all playing out, full self-driving, AI. But no doubt, I mean, these are some dark days ahead that Musk needs to navigate. And I think it's a defining chapter in the Tesla story. And that's why investors, patience is wearing thin. And this is just one where it's going to be a very, very difficult quarter.
So let me ask you, all right, I could put you in front of Elon Musk right now. What would you tell Musk? What would be the Dan Ives game plan to turn this around? Have
an adult in the room on the conference call, give a communication strategy around guidance, margins, hold an AI day, give some strategic targets. And also a lot of the noise with Musk leaving his, his AI initiatives.
Basically, it's saying, listen, I could take my AI and my robotics plays, I could take them elsewhere.
That's 70% of the value of Tesla is Musk. Okay, so Musk is Tesla, Tesla is Musk. Investors have a lot of patience, and we've been here before, 2018, 2019. This is nowhere near those, but this is a white knuckle period that they need to navigate. You compare that to what Cook will do on calls, Nadella, some of the other Hall of Famers. I'm not saying Musk is going to do that, but this is a quarter that's really going to shake some confidence. And I think that's the thing. We see it on the other side in terms of being bullish, but no doubt that's why we had to lower the price target.
Danai's latest Tesla stock target is at $300. So he thinks that without Elon Musk, Tesla stock is worth $90 per share. I think Elon Musk is really important to Tesla, but I don't think that Tesla stock would drop by 70% if Elon Musk left. I think it would drop and it would be significant, but I don't think it would be 70%. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and watch this video if you are interested in Andrew Tate from Wednesday. I have it on this channel. I have also been using Ground News. Check it out in the description. You might like it. I find it a bit easier to go through the latest news with that app.